then and they happen now. And in all these things, we see the collision between the Lord and the world that He would have, and the world in which we live. And we stand at the collision point, if you will, between the two trains that are hurtling towards one another. And there is no room for compromise between the evil of this world and the holiness of the Lord. And as we read the gospel today, and as we reflect on the Lord born in our midst, we are given too the reminder of how Christians approach evil. For we do not see the Lord and His mother and Joseph the betrothed fleeing to Rome to plead with the emperor, to demand justice for the children that had been killed. They go into hiding. They wait. They find a place of peace. And they seek change in other ways. This is not to say we cannot be involved in the political process, but it is a reminder that the salvation that the world needs is more than law, is more than a change in leadership. What the world needs is Christ. And Christ will heal the wounds. Christ will wipe away the tears. Christ will bring peace and joy even into the midst of war and sorrow. And this is to be a comfort to us. This is to be a reminder that Christ, our salvation, our Redeemer, our God, that Christ is enough, that He is sufficient, and that in Him and through Him all the wounds of creation, all the brokenness of our hearts, all the sorrows of this world, they will be made right. And we are left to choose. Do we choose this world in which such things happen, in which we must come to terms with them? Or do we choose the world that is to come? Do we choose Christ and His means of changing the world through self-sacrifice, through love, through death? But resurrection comes after death. I pray that we may choose Christ as we end this year and begin the next, and every year and day of our lives. So please stand, and we will continue the Divine Liturgy. The season of Christmas is one which we often experience as a letdown, because there is so much anticipation that comes before. And more in these modern days than in any time in history before. Now we start preparing for Christmas before Thanksgiving even arrives. At least the decorations go up then, and the Christmas carols start playing on the radio, and we begin to hear that Christmas is coming from every source, even before Thanksgiving. And with all that preparation, all that anticipation, it is impossible for the day itself, whether we think first and foremost of the church and its celebrations, or whether we think of the family and the gatherings there, or of the gifts, or of the food, or of the drink. Whatever we do to celebrate, to observe Christmas Day, it is impossible that it should measure up in full to what we have perhaps made ourselves expect over the course of an entire month. At least this is the common experience. If our focus is correct, if we see clearly, if we understand truly the marvel, the wonder of what happens when the Lord is born, when we see the babe lying in the manger in the cave in Bethlehem, then that is enough to make the preparation and the anticipation worthwhile. But how many of us can say with truth that we comprehend, or that the comprehension sinks into our hearts and we recognize the wonder, the miracle, the glory, the transcendent, salvific marvel of God born as a babe in a stable, joining himself with the lowest in this earth, so as to save from the lowest to the highest. That is enough. But we struggle to see it that way. And therefore, it is a blessing for us that we have the two feasts, the feast of the Lord's birth, first of all, and then 13 days later, the feast of the Theophany. So first, the Lord, our God, is born into this world, and yet in a veiled and a hidden manner, in a cave, and the only witnesses are strangers from the east and some shepherds. But we begin to prepare now to celebrate the revelation of the Lord in splendor, with miracles and signs and wonders at the beginning of his ministry at the Feast of Theophany. And as we stand in this middle period, we have two choices. We can look behind to Christmas and consider whether it measured up to our expectations or not, whether it fulfilled our hopes and dreams or not, whether we got what we wanted out of the holiday or not. Or, casting our eyes forward, we can look to the Lord's baptism, to his revelation, to the fulfillment, because we cannot in truth separate the two feasts. They are two parts of a single whole. The Lord is born so that he can be revealed, but he could not be revealed had he not been born. And therefore, now, we celebrate neither Christmas nor Theophany, and yet we hold on to both of them. On this bridge between the old year and the new, between the birth of the Lord and his baptism and revelation to the world, we stand and we see our salvation. God is with us. Know it, you nations, as the psalmist says, and be submissive, for God is with us, and all creation is being changed. But we're not responsible for all creation. We are each responsible only for ourselves. And if we, in our own minds, in our own hearts, in our own lives, can perceive the miracle of the birth of God and the transcendent splendor of his baptism, of his immersion into our broken nature, so that in submersing himself in it, he sanctifies and perfects and heals it. This we are called to see. This we are called to understand. This we are called to preach. For if in our lives Christ is born, and if in our lives Christ is made manifest, if in our lives the Lord is present, then we become the voice of the Lord, the voice that cries in the wilderness, in the midst of this broken world, good tidings. of great joy that shall be for all people, that God is with us and the world will be healed. God bless you all. Have a happy new year and a blessed 2015.